Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of
Get Stoked!
Get Stoked! With your host, with your host, Ty.
Evan.
Trent.
And this week we'll be plugging into the virtual world of video games as we discuss some of our favorite titles and bash our least favorite companies.
All right, episode 4.
All right, so contrary to foreshadowing in previous episodes, we are not doing AI this week because let's just say we had a
scheduling mishap.
we'll call it that for the sake of him.
There was a schedule, but
It just didn't work out.
But so anyway, this week we're going to talk about
Didn't work out.
video games. We're all experienced pro gamers here.
I would say, the best gamer.
Absolutely.
Typically,
We don't play in pro leagues because we don't want to
We don't wanna
we don't want
dab
to
on 'em.
shit on them,
Yeah, and none of us dyed our hair, so we can't be successful like
Yeah,
Ninja.
well,
But it's not like a
Ninja's-
crazy
yeah,
color.
yeah.
It's not like, oh man, it's electric blue.
Look at
Aren't I so
me.
interesting?
Yeah. So actually, okay.
While you're yelling at kids over Fortnite.
Yeah.
The fuck you say to me?
If you're not a huge video game fan, I am sorry. We're going to be talking about it for an hour. But hey, stick around. You might find something interesting. Maybe you'll have a new appreciation for video games by the end of it.
Or maybe you'll have a worse appreciation.
Yeah, maybe
depending
you'll
on
be
which
like,
way
oh
this
God,
goes.
if these guys are on there, I may as well avoid it with, everything I have. So, yeah.
All right, so let's just start off by what games are we excited for that are coming out?
That are coming out. I really like Outer Worlds. It's already out.
It's got good reviews too.
It does. It's a sci-fi role-playing single player, and it's been described as like Skyrim or Fallout, which are my favorite game franchises, in space.
Well, I wouldn't tack Fallout on there anymore.
controversial
They
opinion.
completely shit on Bethesda
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Studio was like, hey, fuck you guys, we can make a better game than you.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later when we decide to bash on companies we don't
companies.
like.
Yeah.
What about you, Trenton?
Yeah.
Speaking about a company that everyone loves, it's a little darling of the video game industry, CD Projekt Red. They make the Witcher series.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I'd
that's
have to try
why
that.
everyone adored them, because The Witcher 3 was a fantastic game. They're making a new game that's probably the one I'm most excited for, and that's Cyberpunk 2077. They actually, part of the reason why I'm so excited is one of the leaders of the game, they hired him. He was the guy that designed the original role-playing game.
Oh, that's cool.
So he
wow.
designed Cyberpunk 2020, and they got him on board to design elements of 2077.
I'm buying that game solely for Keanu Reeves. That's the only reason.
You know what
I
I just realized?
What?
Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077 is releasing in 2020.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
It took me
It's
a
almost
while
as
to
if,
figure it
uh,
out.
it's a
The meme
coincidence.
used to be Cyberpunk 2077 is going to actually release in 2077 because it took so long.
Yeah.
Well, are they releasing on July 7th?
No,
Because 77.
it's May 29th or something like that.
Okay.
That's not bad.
That's a missed opportunity. I'm just saying.
I mean, dude,
Skyrim released on 11/11.
I will talk about more about how these guys operate after Evan.
Once we
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about both of those games as well, but I'm also really looking forward to the new Star Wars game.
Oh, is
the
that the
open world one?
Okay.
Yeah, it's made by Respawn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
still
pretty sure.
tied to EA, which is unfortunate, but
But Respawn's doing it right.
yeah, they're doing all right with Apex and stuff. I mean, they're still kind
Apex Timefall.
yeah. So I'm excited for that. I like the idea of an open world. I loved The Force Unleashed. Yeah, it wasn't open world, but it's a fun fucking game.
I
So
don't know how they're going to make an open world game, though.
I'll figure it out.
Like, they're really good at making shooters and stuff.
it might be like Destiny,
particularly movement-based stuff.
Yeah, like
where you travel to different
planetary.
planets.
It's
Yeah.
not truly open, but there's.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. Like I said, it's
Like big open levels, but nothing else past
Yeah.
it. Because that's the way the new Metro was. Like, it would give you, like, every level or every mission had its own level
Mm.
for it. And then it was just a big open area,
Mhm.
and you could traverse, and do side missions while doing the campaign. So it was pseudo open world, where it was
Yeah.
like, there's big sections that you can play around in, but at the end of the day,
Similar to
you have-
Borderlands.
Yeah.
you have to go down that way.
Mhm.
Actually, now that we're kind of on that topic, what was the video game that really sealed it for you guys? Like, what
What do you mean?
As
what
kids?
made you want to keep playing video games? Because I think everybody has that one defining game that, like, they remember with the most nostalgia.
Halo 3.
Yeah.
Halo 3.
I started with well, I was playing on a PS2 as a kid, but none of those games really stuck to me. But like then I got Halo, and then when I got my Xbox, I got Halo 3 at a yard sale, and that's kind of what it was like. Oh shit, this is actually like legit. But I did my first M-rated game was Modern Warfare, like the first one. Like
Yeah. It was always fun times begging your parents to buy you your game. The dad would always do it because he doesn't give a shit, but the mom always like, no, my son can't be playing that.
Yeah, I had to convince my mom for weeks to let me get GTA 5.
I told my parents that there was a paintball mode in Modern Warfare, so it would turn all the blood to the paintballs.
They believe
negligence is really
no,
great.
I think they just stopped caring because I remember it was a birthday gift. Like I got a PlayStation and I had like a couple of games on there, and then they bought me MW2, and I was like, this is the start.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare was definitely like defining multiplayer
That was
for
a
me.
great game.
But my original game that I always played was the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on PlayStation 1. Which is kind of sad because it's like I couldn't invite anyone over to play with, so I just plug in 2 controllers so I could play Graffiti by myself.
Oh my gosh.
But it was fun. It was good times. Minecraft too was a big one.
Oh yeah, see, I didn't get into that to like middle school.
Same,
but
I was
when it did, it was like the thing to play. Like I remember so many nights after school just playing Minecraft for hours, and it wasn't even that far developed then, but like we could still play forever.
No, I got the original Minecraft whenever it was first released, so like in its alpha state, where you could only like food wouldn't stack at all. Yeah. And you didn't have any hunger, no XP or anything like that, and zombies dropped feathers. But it was like, if I could go back to those days in my life, I would. Because that was like the most surreal, blissful thing. Because, you know, whenever you start playing video games, there's always a point where they're magical, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, how is this even happening? Like, I'm pushing buttons and things are happening on the screen. Now I'm a bit more jaded. I'm a bit older where I'm like, they're just trying to make money.
Yeah.
You know, you always want to go back to that nostalgia state of like the games that you played. Like I even had that kind of feeling with Fortnite when I first started playing it. Like it was genuinely fun, and I think they kind of recaptured it again now because it's not as chaotic. But like, you know, I like thinking back to those times too, where it's like, wow, this was like so much fun. Like, but
I think that's something that is frustrating for me. I am a huge fan of open world role playing games. So specifically like Skyrim and Fallout. Right. And it's one of those things where I can keep going back and keep playing, and I do. But the more times you run through it, the more times you see everything, the less that magic holds. Yeah. And so like it sucks because those take so long to develop that you usually get tired of it before the new one's out.
Do you think people who like play video games for a living get that same feeling where it's like it's almost lost its magic because they're doing it every single day?
I know if it was me, I would. I don't know if I would still hate the job, like at the end of the day, but I would definitely get burned out.
Well, the problem is video games. A lot of the YouTubers get stuck on a certain game, like, and I feel like that's what happens with Fortnite. Like, a lot of them are on Fortnite, like, because like that's what everybody's watching. They're kind of forced to play that to make their living because that's all the kids want to see. Like, they don't care about new games; they just want to see what's new in the newest Fortnite update, which is really unfortunate because I feel bad for some of these people who play these games because it's like they have to do this and they have to keep playing the same stupid game.
Right. I know for me in particular, like after playing a multiplayer game for so long, I just get a hankering just to play a good single player game where it's just me by myself with headphones on, like late at night, getting scared to death by an alien.
Yeah. Just getting pulled into another world.
Yeah. Yeah. Where multiplayer is just, it always kind of breaks the immersion to some extent.
It's always in your face that you were playing against other people.
And it's frustrating sometimes too. Like I get frustrated so much with Overwatch. So I just want to fucking put it down. It's like I can't do this anymore. And I'm like screaming at people, like messaging them, calling them dumb or stupid because they can't play the fucking game.
We recently have been playing a lot of Apex Legends, and it's just been like we've had a rough couple of days on it.
It was silly too because we weren't even playing like ranked.
It was within like 2 minutes of us all getting online with each other. And we dropped the first game after we dropped. We immediately died. We hop into the second game, and there's like a little bit of squabbling. And then within 5 seconds of hitting the ground, it's just utter pandemonium. Like everyone's just mad.
Yeah.
I quit. I just turned off my Xbox.
Josh followed suit, and I was like, all right, now I have to say sorry.
I remember when I made you quit the one game.
What game was that?
We were playing Apex on stream. I made you quit.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget what you did, but it pissed me off.
Yeah, I forget too. But
Well, you guys did that to me too one time.
What?
You guys kept pinging.
Oh yeah. We kept the survey beacons.
Yeah, and then I just quit because I was like, "Fuck you guys." But I would like to, real quick, before we go into any more about specific video games, there's kind of a misunderstanding, I think, between people who play video games and people who don't. What do you guys say to people who are like, that's a waste of time?
Nothing's a waste of time if you're enjoying it and it's not harming you at the end of the day. Because it's scientifically proven that video games are beneficial. Yeah. Granted, you can still get addicted to video games. You can get addicted to literally anything. But just because you're sitting in front of a screen doesn't make it any different from, looking at your phone.
That's what I was going to say.
Or, if you're really going to hammer down on people playing video games too much, you should be the one that's going outside for 5 hours a day, reading books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the majority of the time they're not. The majority of the time you hear that and they're like, oh, they're just watching Netflix.
On Facebook, tweeting it.
They're complaining about it online.
Yeah, it's like...
I see it as a form of entertainment. So, like, regardless if you like to read, whatever you like to do, that's entertainment to you. This is entertainment to someone else. So,
plus, I always find it hard to explain to people who don't play. But whenever you particularly play with your friends, it feels like hanging out.
It does.
Because everyone's interacting in this world, even though it's very
just
limited.
Because it's a virtual world.
And you're all talking to each other. And some games even have the mouth movements and stuff like that, where it's like, I can look at Ty and I can see Ty's emotions just by the way his character is moving, the way he's looking around and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like I can tell whenever Josh is confused playing Apex because he'll just spin around.
His character will just go in a circle. For me, that's something too. Like, it's usually people who would like talk on Facebook for hours or text people or like FaceTime who are like, it's so antisocial and so well. The difference is I'm still talking to my friends, but we're also doing something constructive together.
Yeah.
And we're creating memories. The only memories that you have in that conversation space online is the conversation itself. On top of that, we have triumphs, we have failures, we have the stress, we have yelling at each other about the game.
Funny moments. There's so much there.
It allows you to interact with each other when you aren't able to do it in person.
Yeah. After a while of doing it, you genuinely get old and you look back at your times and you're like, man, that was really fun whenever all three of us were just sitting in a room trying to get Apex champions, just yelling at each other. It's 2:00 in the morning in the dorm room,
Yeah, it's a way of connecting with people. I've seen stories of guys who met online and then became really good friends and then finally met in real life. It's it's a great way to connect. Regardless of how you look at video games, it's you're making connections with people all the time. So
you were with one of my really good friends, Jake, and you guys bonded online.
God, I went out to dinner with him, just him and I. So it doesn't take much to meet people. It's a great experience. Like I said, Jake's a good friend of mine now, and I met him on Minecraft.
By the way, hi Jake, if you're listening.
So what do we want to get into next?
I don't know. What do you guys want to?
I'd say let's just talk about some of our favorites.
Our favorites?
Yeah.
Modern favorites for me is definitely Apex, just because I don't know. There's something so captivating about a battle royale format where it's every time it's random and there's that element of luck where you're like, man, I'm going to pick this spot and get the best gear in the game, and then I'm gonna just obliterate everyone else that I run into. And I think that's why you like Fortnite to an extent. But I do think with those games in particular, they can be kind of harmful to kids because particularly in Fortnite, they're free, but they have
skins and
high cost skins where it's you have kids who are man, no one wants to be a default, no one
wants to be playing.
I mean, but at the same time, you got to give it to the company. They got to make money somehow.
Yeah, but I'm fine with that as an adult. But as a kid,
they don't know.
Wouldn't reconcile that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's any way to fix it. I couldn't tell you if there was.
I think it has to do with, not to transition into the company thing, but I think the format of monetization has changed in gaming.
Yeah.
It used to be
games are a platform.
You pay an upfront cost and then the game is yours. And now it's free, but you have to continually pay to keep up with the current status of the game.
Yeah.
And I think they do a good job of that with online, like trying not condemn, but almost make people feel bad for not having any skins. It's there's a whole social stigmatism around not having a skin. It's your default, you suck at you suck at the game if you have a default skin. So it encourages people to want to buy skins, and it's that's kind of ridiculous. Kids aren't asking for toys anymore. They went, "Hey mom, can you get me V-Bucks for Christmas?" It's
and I went to give my nephew a $20 gift. I was like, "Give whatever you want." He was like, I'm going to get a PlayStation gift card. I'm going to pump that right back into Fortnite.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him because back in the day, I was trading in games to buy Minecraft skins, the new Minecraft pack that came out. But I look at that and I go, oh, man, $20. I mean, I do it now as an adult.
But you also work. And
that's because I realize the importance of giving the game back money. So it continues to be profitable and you can continue enjoying the thing you love. Because some of us have literal days sunk into some of these games where it's they've given me more than enough entertainment for me to give them back.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Money. And it's not ridiculous. A battle pass is 3 months and it's
and you get
$10.
A bunch of shit. Yeah. And they give you the opportunity to get another one. So but the problem is kids are like, ooh, look at this new skin in the store. I want this. And it's you could spend that $20 on a skin, or you could put it towards another game where you could get the full a full game experience. My friend had, for his birthday, got $80 for Xbox cards. He spent all of it on Fortnite. I'm like, dude, that's 2 or 3 good games.
God.
Why would you do that? There's so many good games out there that give you a great experience, a fun time. And I'm not going to bash Fortnite because, like I said, it's fun. Not at least nowadays, but and it's a good game to play and it's a lot of fun. But at the same time, it's you could be experiencing more than just jumping into
that.
Experience some story. I like multiplayer, but there are great games out there with really good story.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the other problem. People don't give indie games enough of a try.
That's why I love playing on PC. Because every day you can be you can go in the Humble Bundle and be here, I'm going to give $15 and get 20 indie games and just blast through them one by one. Even if they're 2-hour experiences.
Yeah, it's still good
experiences. Yeah. You and I played a free game called We Were Here.
Yep.
And it's an indie game.
I still want to get the second
free.
one.
We're considering purchasing the second one. It was only 2 hours maybe of playtime, but it was a story and we had great moments in it. You're trapped in a castle in the middle of this blizzard.
Arctic,
and
wasteland.
One of you is exploring the castle and the other one is in a library, and you have to solve puzzles by communicating, but you can speak to one another, but it's through a walkie-talkie, and only one of you can be speaking at the same time. Because if you both talk, it cancels out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The game literally will be you're in party chat. Turn that off.
You need to turn it off.
Really?
You have to be. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
for the first few minutes, we were just sitting there in silence, and then all of a sudden you get your walkie-talkie, and you're like, Trenton, and it's Ty. It's yay!
That sounds awesome.
It
was a really cool experience. I found it really fun too, just because I like to ham things up, to be more entertaining than you would be if someone just reacting. So there were points where I'd be like, "Oh shit,
scared the shit out of me."
It's coming from me, Ty, because I know he can't see what I'm seeing."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I know it's over walkie-talkie, so it adds that extra layer.
Oh yeah,
and it was just a super fun experience of yelling at Ty to start pushing buttons.
Here's me trying to push random buttons and make them do things, and he's like, "It's getting closer," and I'm just pressing buttons, and
it was a marionette. It was a puppet gliding towards me, and I was.
And then I'm behind the stage, and you have to put out certain props that go along with the story that he's seeing, but I'm not hearing.
Yeah.
So it was this whole thing, and I was like, "Is the fucking queen out?"
Yeah, and it's a shame that not a lot of people support these smaller companies. Everybody's so brand loyal to new Call of Duty's coming out, gotta get that. It's
that's why that's the only way I would condemn a Fortnite or Call of Duty, and I can't even condemn them. I guess it's more condemning the people that plays them, because it's you are pushing the industry in a very bad direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where it's just sure they're fun, but their main focus is just grabbing as much money as possible. But people don't realize this video games are also an art form. Yeah. So there are plenty of experiences that are groundbreaking, trippy, just it's almost like looking at an emotional painting,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just engrossed in it and thought and stuff like that. And people aren't experiencing them as much.
Well, that's why. Oh, good. That's why I hate the Call of Duty games, because you see a new one every single year, and it's you have the resources of such a mess. You have so much resources and money to make a different game, but because it's like crack for these people. Like they'll buy it because they know it's another Call of Duty. So instead of like making a new game, they're like, let's just keep them hooked on what they already love. And it's like,
because it's easy.
Yeah, because it's easy and it's lazy. It's like there's no like nobody ever plays a fucking campaign. I'm pretty sure they've gotten rid of it at this point.
No, they brought it back.
Did they? I mean, zombies was always good in Call of Duty. Like I used to love Black Ops Zombie, but then they overcomplicate it, make it too like. And it's just like you're trying all these things, but you're not like you need to branch out into like different things. Like I'm tired of seeing the same old fucking Call of Duty all the time. It's like we get it. It's a shooter. Like it's not that complicated. Like just because you add new features or design doesn't make it any different than the other ones. It's just another fucking copy paste.
Another one.
Yeah.
Or all they do is flip assets from the old one. It's like, oh, we have this gun already. Let's just make a new one and put it in the game.
Yeah.
Not have to program anything. And I guess it's fair because video games inherently, like developing, is a huge cost endeavor. Like think about painting or making a song. You know, you can get those done in a month, weeks even. But a video game, it takes often years to make because you need multiple people. You need the art, you need to program, and you need to tie it all together somehow.
When you also notice too, the video games that are always the best are the ones that take the longest to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like look at GTA 5. That took years to come out, and that was a great game.
And that's a game that is still growing and developing.
That was, I think, one of the highest grossing pieces of media ever. It made $80 million within its first week.
It's like if you take your time and put a lot of effort into your story, your characters, and all the development, like you're gonna have a good game. But the people who like just rush it out because they want to make more money.
That's the issue now. It's
how can we make them
about monetization? And it's like if you make a good product, the money will come, right? Like, and this is something not to get into the trashing section yet.
Yeah,
let me compliment a company that we will later trash. That is something Bethesda got right early on. Bethesda created the Elder Scrolls series, and up until Elder Scrolls 5, they produced quality games that people really enjoyed, and they put effort into them, and the money followed. Mm-hmm. Like Skyrim is still highly played, and it released in 2011.
The price is still relatively high for that. It's still like $30-$40.
It had its dip, but it's increased in value since then. It's still, you can still purchase it for $45 or something.
That's why if you look at literally any Nintendo game,
that's what I was just about to say. They never drop price because they're quality games because they put time into it.
If you put it out there, the money will follow. But now people are just like, well, we could also just produce a half-ass copy and paste of whatever game is the most popular right now.
You know what the worst part is? It's like, even if they don't get as much money, even if they get a quarter of that, it's still profit for them.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so we can pump out 4 of those in the time they pump out 1. And if we're only making a quarter, we'd equal them.
But then again, you look at games like GTA, like how much money have all the Call of Duties combined had to have made it to beat one game? It's like, why don't you look at that and go, shit, why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
Because they can make, I mean, it took 5 years for them to get that game out or however many years it was, but they still made more money than you could have made with each individual, project. So it's like maybe you should try, just try making something new. Like, you could take a loss, but at least you're giving it a go. You have the resources.
And lately the meta of sorts has been very multiplayer driven. It's all about people competing against people.
Explain what meta is.
Okay, meta is like the current cliche of the industry. So
beyond, it's the whenever you refer to a game, it's the game within the game.
Yeah.
So a meta in poker is to get all aces or something like that.
Yeah. So like the current trend is very multiplayer focused, mindless, constant. Like I don't want to say mindless, but it's the kind of thing where it's like a rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
You don't progress. You just do the same thing better.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah, you're not getting any story. Like, some of these single player games are like, they're story driven and they're great. And you get a great experience. It's like reading a good book, but it's like this multiplayer is just like, oh, let me just do the same thing over and we're all guilty.
It makes money.
We're all guilty of it. Like we all play multiplayer games that are just wash, rinse, and repeat. But it's like we're doing it together, so it's like we're getting an experience out of it. But we also try. Like I've tried several indie games. Like whenever they come out for free, I always nab them. Like that the Limbo, not Limbo, but the other one that came Inside. That was great. I love that game.
And we were killing it with Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, that's a good game. Mm-hmm. It's like give these games a try. Like you don't have.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was just pointing because I was thinking. You, Trenton, turned me on to a game.
Thomas Was Alone.
Thomas Was Alone.
Yeah.
It's a game comprised of only blocks. And it's a platformer, which means it's 2-dimensional, like classic Mario, Pac-Man style. And it tells a narrative with each level that you defeat, and you feel an emotional attachment to these blocks that are,
because the narrator does such a fantastic job of like describing them. One of the most interesting games I've seen come out, it's a walking simulator, but there's nothing wrong with that, because games inherently, like any other form of art or media, is an experience. So whether that experience has like, ooh, you're going to lean out the cover and shoot the bad guys, or if it's just, I'm going to walk through an art gallery. At the end of the day, it's still an experience. Yeah. And walking through an art gallery is much like the beginner's guide, where it describes the kind of like the trial and the pain of making games, like especially as an indie dev, where they describe someone who's terribly broken but has a passion for making games. And the whole game is narrated as you walk through this person's unfinished like projects, and like, this is what this one was supposed to mean. At this point, he started acting really weird, and you just see like this guy's progression, not only developing his skill set, but also his development and like those mental illnesses and those mental pains.
Well, I feel like too, like we've also, like, as the consoles have upgraded, you've seen a dip away from the story. Like back in 360, like PS3 days, like there are so many story-based games. Like you still had the multiplayer crap, but it was like a lot of story games. But it's like I just feel like it's harder. And the other problem is that like these companies don't really advertise their indie games that well. It's a lot of just like, ooh, look at the big new shiny game that we've made 4 of, or it's like
they even do it with their big new shiny games. Like EA released Titanfall 2 within a week of Call of Duty being released and them releasing Battlefield 1, and it was like, no one's going to experience the little guy because you're releasing him and the space between your two giants, your behemoths.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it. The behemoths can make money, but it's like
they do make
money. They do.
That's why they're still around.
It's kind of, it really comes back to, they're going to make money regardless, but it's way easier for them to copy and paste than it is to put effort into it.
Yeah.
You guys want to take a quick break?
Yeah, maybe? Sure. Yeah. All right. Let's just hop right back into it then.
What a long and fruitful break.
Yeah, they're always just so wonderful. Like, I always have time to reflect on whatever I want to say next.
Yeah, like, it was nice.
I wrote a book.
You wrote a book?
Yeah, and that whole break?
Yeah. Such a long break.
But let's get into companies we love and hate. So do we want to start with hate or love first?
That's a hard. Does anyone have a coin on them?
No. You can roll a dice if you have the Magic app on your phone.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Even number is good. Odd number is bad.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Hi everyone. We should have done this during the break,
but we didn't.
We just had too much time that we just
kind of lost track. Yeah.
Yeah, we really did. Sometimes it's just.
We should do board games and card games on another episode.
All right, odd. Let's just use the blue one. All right, so let's bash a company. So who do we want to go after first?
There's definitely an easiest target right now.
Bethesda and a Blizzard are hot shit right now.
Why don't we talk about EA?
Okay.
EA?
Let's start off small.
EA's a small one who has done some things correct as well.
Well, they've
had some redemption in the past few weeks, months.
But the problem is they have to be called out on their shit before they do it. So like the whole Star Wars thing, like when they first released Battlefront 2, it was like, hey, you want to get better at the game? Spend money. And it was like, and then it took them like 2 years to fix it. It's like,
it's important to recognize too that Battlefront 2 was already a pay product.
Yeah.
Like you bought a $60 game.
And you didn't even get the full game. Like they released like 2 maps. Like it's
instantly.
Like, yeah, it's like, why don't you just give us like the whole thing? Like, come on. Like you already have the basic layout from Battlefront 1. You can just copy that, make it look prettier, give it new features, and then give us more. Because like they're still releasing maps now that like we should have had at the start.
So for those who don't play video games, could you just explain, first of all, what was the franchise that was based off of, and second of all, can you explain the loot box issue?
Oh, okay. So Battlefront was an OG game on the 360 was it the 360
No, it
or
was the Xbox One.
Xbox One, but they remastered
Xbox One, the original Xbox. Yeah. So Xbox One is the new Xbox, the newest Xbox, and they fucked the naming system.
Yeah.
So
the original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
But it was a shooter.
And PlayStation 2.
It was a shooter, and you played as the different faction from Star Wars, and you'd plan all the different planets, and it was so much fun. They had like capture the point, like all sorts of stuff, and and then Battlefront 2 came out, and that was like they added a small story mode where you play as like the 501st, and then they added like lightsaber wielding heroes, and I spent so much time on that game because it was so much fun. But then EA got their hands on it because the Lucas Games company died, and EA made it, and they just like the loot boxes are. I'll let you talk about loot boxes.
Loot boxes are scummy.
They are scummy. It's gambling.
Yeah, it's gambling. It's gambling thinly veiled as like, oh, you can, it's a digital item, so it's not actually gambling. It's still gambling. People pay people will pay infinite amounts of money for a digital item. Like, these things are hot shit whenever you get them. Mm-hmm. That's why companies keep pumping them full. And even the darlings that we talk about, like Apex,
they're still guilty.
They're guilty of it.
They're very guilty of it. And I understand why, because even though I realize it's bad, it's legitimately gambling where you're like, as soon as you open it, you're like, this one's going to be the one. And like, you see, it's all primed to make you addicted, right? There's always some flashy light that came out before, and then a loud sound that reveals everything you got. So like Apex will shoot off the different colors of rarities you get. And every time you see like a purple or gold, which are the rarest items you can get, you always get that hit in your chest where you're like, man, I should keep going, right?
Well, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Okay, we're going to bash Blizzard later, but I will say I will commend them for their loot boxes because it's kind of hard to find a screen where you can actually buy them. Like, it's not like shoved right in your face, like, here, look, buy. But it's like, it's hidden. Like, you have to go search for it. And they give them out frequently enough that it's worth it. So they do loot boxes.
You don't feel the need to purchase them.
They do it right, and they constantly give you opportunities. You have like, if you win 9 games, you get 3. Like, every day, like, it resets. And if you play tank or healer, you'll get a loot box. It's like they're constantly giving them to you. Whereas like companies like EA, like, you have to buy them. Like, you have to buy them. Or like, absolutely, like, especially with Apex, but like, you have to buy them. It's
the leveling at a certain extent is like insane to get one for free.
It's literally just, you got to go off the battle pass at a certain point. It's just, even these special event ones, you can't get them anymore. Yeah. Like, you have to buy them from the shop, and we're talking upwards of $10 for a chance to get something that you want.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, it's literally gambling, and I'm pretty sure they've been fired by like the government for like
they have
for gambling to children.
The UK government just put out like a statement to their lawmakers, and they're like, hey, kids are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on Fortnite and FIFA. You guys should really take a look into this. FIFA is particularly damning because it not only upgrades the way you play, because you unlock players and then you can make teams, and different players have different stats. So to get the best teams, you have to get the best players. But to get the best players, you got to spend money. But FIFA comes out every year. Yeah. Yep. So you got to spend as much money as possible to get the best players to beat your friends at a virtual soccer.
And it never used to be like that too. Like, it never used to be like, oh, pay more for the game. And that's the other thing EA is super guilty of, is giving us half the game and then making us pay for it the rest later. Like, Battlefield 4 was a big, that was a big one. Like, you bought the game, and then if you wanted a lot more, all the fun maps, you had to pay another $60. And I did it, and it was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm paying $120 for your full game. Like, I can respect DLC to an extent, but when you're undercutting your players and then making them pay more, it's like, you're scammers.
Let's be honest. 5 maps isn't DLC. It's not. Right. It's something that they most definitely had in the game, and then they went, well, we'll just charge people money later.
Put a wall over that and charge people for it.
Yeah.
Over something. See, that's something that I commend about a lot of single player games. What you see, at least what you used to see a couple of years ago with the Fallout, Skyrim franchises, other franchises of the sort, you would get the game, and it would be a substantial game that you could easily sink 60 to 70 to 80 hours, however long you want into it. And then during the initial release, they would work on fixing problems with the game. And then once the game was steady, they would move on to DLC content, and they would develop another portion of the game and then produce it.
But they
did they create them all at the beginning and then chunk it up.
And they also give you more experience of the game too. It's not like, here's another map.
Absolutely. It was an entire new story. It was an entire new world. And that's something that I miss nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just...
I will say one of the nice things about having games as like a platform where you just pay money in it every so often is that they give everyone the content for free. Like Apex and Fortnite just put out 2 new maps that no one had to pay for. You just had to wait for it to come out, which is nice to an extent. But I would like to see like, something like Skyrim used to do, or any of the RPG games used to do, where it was like, well, we have DLC, but given the point of our game, we have to give more stuff. Like, the RPG just wouldn't be fun if it just gave you like a new little area to go explore, right? Like a new castle, and it's like, okay.
That's not enough for you. Like Fortnite rolls out updates every single week. It's like they're constantly updating their game and giving players more. It's like, and they're doing it, and it's a free game. Like they're making the money off the skins and shit, but it's a free game. And it's like, there are companies now, like, I didn't want to go into Bethesda rant already, but
go for it.
Fallout 76, they released full price, and now they're like, hey, do you wanna host your own servers, or I forget what the other, or like have like some sort of single player or something? Pay $13 a month and we'll let you have it. It's like, dude, you've been fucking up consistently. The goal, what you want to do at this point is make the game free, because people aren't going to pay for that shit.
Isn't it free now?
No, it's still not. It's still like $40.
To explain,
Destiny 2 went free.
Destiny 2 went free. To explain to those who don't understand the issue with Fallout 76,
oh god,
I would try Destiny 2.
Yeah, it's Destiny 1 was good.
I felt robbed after the DLC content of
the
Destiny.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating because they put out that game and it's like, oh, now we made it good.
Yeah.
Give us another $60.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, at least make the other one free if you're going to put out a new one. Like all MMOs do that, where they put out a big expansion and it's like, hey, if we made the base game free, you're going to get hooked.
Because then you get hooked.
Yeah.
Exactly. They did that with Elder Scrolls Online. It used to be a subscription. Okay. So to explain
Bethesda.
Fallout 76, specifically with Bethesda, Fallout 76 is a multiplayer continuation of the Fallout franchise, which is usually a single-player experience. It's a post-apocalyptic like world that you explore, and it's very like zany and quirky.
Yeah, it's 50s fun.
Before you get into this is a good example of sometimes when you're doing something, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like
exactly.
I talked about
how, to be fair, Fallout 4 was pretty broke.
It was, but I mean, like,
it was a fun game.
But I mean by like your formula. Like, yeah, it's okay to expand out into different regions, but this is not what I mean by this.
So the issue being is they pitched an online version of Fallout. And so everybody got very excited because it was the same Fallout world and that same vibe, same feeling, that same quirkiness and personality
in the trailer.
They had such a personality to the game, and when you get there, you realize that it is a giant map filled with people who don't care,
and there's empty.
There were no non-player characters or NPCs, which are trying to help people who aren't video game
Fallout
players.
is like known for.
It's all built about the Fallout and Skyrim, like Bethesda single-player RPGs, are all built around discovering characters that Bethesda has created and getting attached to them. And that's truthfully like the bottom line, what you stay for. You become obsessed with the characters because they're interesting, and you create your own stories with them because you decide to take them on your adventures. And to completely strip the world of characters and to say, well, you guys should be able to provide enough.
Use your imagination.
Yeah, now you can hear that guy who doesn't want to take care of his kids screaming in the background.
Yeah, you can hear the Spanish radio station in the background because he doesn't have a like mute button
on his mic.
Yeah, and it's lazy. It's like, we didn't really feel like creating a whole new game. We're just like, use your imagination. It's like, no, we're paying you $60 so you can give us something to work with.
Yeah, you use your imagination, and we pay you for your imagination.
For it.
Yeah, like what did we pay for? A copy paste map of like
pretty much.
They didn't even change the textures all that much. It's like the same shit.
It was different colors.
I really feel bad, and we'll get into. Hopefully, this one might be a very long one, but we'll get into how poorly devs are treated in the industry, because Fallout 76 was interesting because they took a single player based engine, which is basically just how the game runs. Think of it as like an engine in a car. Like you need all the basics, like you need physics and you need all the interactions and stuff like that.
It's the foundation of the game.
Yeah. And they went, hey, take this single player focused thing and make it multiplayer. And the B team, literally people who are like, we're not even like 70 people strong, were sitting there and they're like, oh fuck, now we have to patch in like some way to allow more people to run around on this piece of shit, barely running two-cylinder
engine. It barely
engine.
works in single player.
Yeah.
Bethesda
games are notoriously glitchy.
They are.
Oh yeah.
But for the longest time, that was kind of seen as
quirky.
a quirkiness to it. But when you start producing things that are going to cost you more money, you expect a certain level of professionalism.
Well, not only that, given the current games that are already out that are beautiful, they work well, like
why would you waste your time?
Well, you have a standard to meet up to.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Literally like they were like, oh shit, we kind of need to make a new game, and it's like people don't really like Fallout 4, so how about we just completely change what we're doing?
Let's take it. Same thing. Take away all the characters. Just put other people in there.
Oh, that's best.
Yeah, that's the way to fix it.
I'm curious to know what the developers were thinking when they were pitched this idea.
I have an idea.
Fuck me, but I still need a job.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Online, another Bethesda title that also worked with ZeniMax, but it was published. It was using Bethesda games.
Yeah. Bethesda allowed it basically.
Yeah. But it was initially not very successful because it was a subscription based. It was trying to follow an MMO, which is a massive multiplayer online game.
It's typically RPGs.
Yeah, it was trying to follow something of like World of Warcraft, where you pay monthly to be a part of it, and you keep playing, and they keep expanding it, and it wasn't working out. It was not what people were hoping for, which was an Elder Scrolls single player brought to multiplayer. But they rebranded, they corrected it, they made it free to play once you purchase the game, but then it's like free to play.
Mm-hmm. And the game isn't that much anymore. It's $20.
$20.
Yeah.
And now what their monetization is, they have the base game, and then the DLC can either be unlocked by purchasing it individually, or you can pay a monthly subscription that gives you all the DLC at all times. And at this point, they have tons of DLC because they release it almost weekly. Like, here's a new dungeon, here's a new faction to go fight, here's a new weapon.
So it's in a way strong-arming you into buying the subscription, but in that way you get all the free content.
Yeah. And you can stop it at any point in time.
It just seems like they don't know how to solve problems. Like, literally, their 76 has just spiraled out of control. Like, what was the first controversy was not only the way they changed the game, but then they tried to release like some jacket, and it was like a different quality from what they promised.
No.
Or was it a bag or something?
It was supposed to be a canvas bag that you bought with a $200 version of the game. It was a canvas bag. People got it, and it was nylon.
Yeah.
And whenever people asked about it, the sales rep, which I feel bad for, was like, yeah, canvas shortage, running out of it. And people were like, yeah, really, buddy? And then they were like, okay, we'll make the bags. So they went and they were like, give us your information if you bought it. But notoriously, Bethesda is known for bugs. So all the information of all the people were leaked, and you could even change information on their account. So that didn't go well. And then they were like, okay, we need to make money somehow. Let's release alcohol. Brand.
That was ugly. I saw that.
So they made this whole rum. It had this beautiful like Fallout themed bottle where it's like a rocket ship.
It looked like it was glass from the pictures.
And then you get it, and it was just a plastic shell around a rum bottle that didn't even fit properly. So you'd pour out the rum, and it would just overflow. So that was a whole big thing. And they've just been doing controversy after controversy.
They're just stepping on themselves.
And I think it sucks because they had that taste of success, and they were regarded as one of the best companies a couple of years ago.
Then they got power hungry.
And they did. It was a poor choice, and they have yet to backtrack.
Yeah.
And doesn't help that they have no idea how to handle these situations yet. Like, that's something known about just big companies in general, but it's notorious for video games where people get pissed off about something, and then not only are the companies surprised about something, very obviously will get people pissed off, like having to pay more money to unlock the rest of the game, and then they're like, oh man, how do we rectify it? And they're usually doing like backflips over themselves trying to rectify it, but they're always stumbling.
And they somehow always make it worse.
Or they'll slap out something like, ooh, look at this, distract yourself with this. And it's like, dude, we see right through your shit. It's like, stop.
Yeah. But I think that's something with Apex Legends in particular, the first...
What was that? Was that it? Did it just happen?
You can send it.
The first event that they did.
Yeah.
It was a premium event where you were given the notion, you were kind of fed this notion that you'd be able to unlock certain cosmetics in the game just by playing this new event. And then upon arriving, you realize, no, I have to purchase each item, which is only available for a limited amount of time.
In a loot box.
Yeah.
And the loot boxes are 7 times the cost of a normal loot box. And I have probably, what was it? There were like 20 items. So I have...
No, 24.
There were 24 items.
Yeah.
So you basically, I can't do the math right now. You basically have a 4% chance.
Yeah, the problem is they don't guarantee you those items. It's like, oh, you got to spin the wheel. And it's like, you're making people pay this much money and you're not even going to give it to them. It's like, that's bullshit. Like,
yeah, just let them. And that's what they did now. They made it so you can see all the skins and then you can be like, I want to buy that one. Like what I did.
Which is how it should be. If they want to spend the money, let them. Don't give it, don't let it on chance. It's just not fair.
Don't let them spin the slot machine and see if the digital dice that was rolled ended up coming up to what they wanted. Like I remember whenever that came out, you got 2 free loot boxes of the event, and people were posting pictures on Reddit, and they're like, wow, I got 2 voice lines in a common skin. Like that was $7 worth right there.
Yeah.
Not even 7, because you can't pay the amount directly. You can only pay it in certain increments. So if you want to buy a $7 thing, you can't do that. You have to buy a $10 thing first, and then you can buy the $7 thing with all your $10 things.
It's really crazy the digital economy shouldn't work because you're paying for something that
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, but it does, and it's booming
especially because it's cosmetic. Yeah. That's the thing. None of these enhance gameplay because that is a problem in and of itself.
Yeah, that's how they get away with it.
That's the problem. It's just like in-game purchase. Like these did not used to be around when we were kids. Like you got the game, you played the game, you enjoyed the game, and now it's like, well, let's just sprinkle in some microtransactions in here, and I'm sure it'll be fine. It's like, and people pay for it too. It's like, what are you doing?
I will do it. I will say.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah. I will buy skins if I like it and I think it looks cool, particularly if it's a game like Fortnite or Apex where it's free. But that is a consenting adult. I don't think it should be
targeted towards children.
Yeah.
And what doesn't help either is like you see the YouTubers and they're like, plug my creator code. Yeah. And like they buy every single skin and like, hey guys, plug my creator.
Look at this really cool skin. It's only available for a limited time.
Yeah, it's like if you want to support me, buy this skin. It's like you're not helping the problem.
No, you're not.
You're just making it worse. Like, oh, Ninja has the skin, I have to have it. It's like, no.
I would like to compliment, because we've been going pretty hard. Before we get into the Blizzard of Blizzard.
Spam this lizard or protest Blizzard.
I would like to compliment a small game, Warframe, which is how I believe every gaming company should monetize. Warframe is a free-to-play game, and it is a grinder. It's a looter shooter. Mm-hmm. So the concept is, if you want something in the game, everything is attainable. You just have to. Instead of paying for money, you're paying in time.
Yeah.
It's randomly generated every single time you beat a mission what drops, and if you don't get it on that drop because there's a 2% chance of it dropping, you got to do it 100 more times and hope that you get it. Or you can purchase anything in the game if you choose to. And what's amazing about that is it doesn't restrict you. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. You can get everything in the game if you want. If you make friends in the game who are already high level, they can walk you through it. You can have it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Reward the players for working hard.
They do. And they also give you the option. And that's something where I used to play that game a lot. And I like it to buy a frame, which is like, there's like 35 and they all have different abilities. And it's basically what you
characters.
play. To buy a character, it would be about $20 depending. The prices will fluctuate due to popularity. So if one is like super unpopular, they're not going to charge you $20 for it because no one will buy it anyway. So it'll be $10. So I would save up. I would put $5 aside every week, and at the end of the month, I would buy myself a frame because I really enjoyed the game. It was free, and they're constantly working to update it, and I appreciate them. There's nothing what you pay for is what you get. There's absolutely zero chance involved, and that's what I really appreciate.
One thing I will compliment Apex Legends on in particular is that it's very easy to get an in-game currency that allows you to buy the new characters, and they don't oversaturate it. Like every season, there's a new character. And if you play like even a minute amount of time during that season, you'll have enough of the in-game currency that you don't pay for to buy the character.
And Fortnite does that too, which they put a lot. Like if you get the battle pass, it's like, all right, just pay a little bit of money, and then you get all these rewards, and it's like you can get the next one for free. It's like, and I'll compliment them on that. They know what they're doing, like, and they're doing a good job of it. Like I said, there's a little too much monetization going on with it, but like they do reward their players for playing the game.
You have the battle pass in Fortnite, and Ty and I both have the battle pass in Apex.
Yeah,
it works. It's a good strategy, and it doesn't feel. Maybe we're getting screwed at the end of the day because it is just inherently, digital. But it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah,
and I think that's the important distinction.
Well, it's because you're working for that stuff.
And at the end of the day, we are paying for a set selection of goods.
Yeah.
It's not like we pay $10 and then every time we level up in the battle pass, we randomly get something.
Yeah.
We know that if we work our asses off after purchasing this and we get up to a certain level in the game,
we'll get that
we're going to get this thing.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it worth it.
And a lot of times, especially in Fortnite, Apex has been getting better. But the battle pass is almost always like a good deal in Fortnite because they put a lot of good shit in there.
They do put a lot of good shit in there, like a couple skins, a lot of V-Bucks. It's like you're getting your money's worth, and you have the choice to buy it because you can see what you're getting. Like if you say, hey, I don't really like the characters or anything in this battle pass, you don't have to buy it, and that's what's nice about it. But like with the loot box thing, it's like you have no idea what you're going to fucking get. You're going to spend $10, and who knows? Maybe you'll get something good. Maybe you won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I said, I will give Fortnite they do good. Like what impresses me the most is they're constantly working and they listen to their audience. I feel like that's a problem that not a lot of companies are willing to do is listen to their audience.
Speaking about listening to their audience.
Oh boy, are we gonna hop into this one?
Let's do it.
Do you want to?
I don't care. Let's go. I say we can get another 20-minute segment in here.
I could talk all day about this. Why don't you begin?
I'll lay the foundation. I'll spin you a yarn about a tale of a multi-million-dollar company, if not multi-billion.
American.
Multi-billion American company. We're talking cold card USD, baby. The sweet dollar bills. They made some of the most popular games like World of Warcraft all time. One of the most popular games of all time.
Yeah.
Hands down. They made so much money back in the day. So they also have another game based off World of Warcraft called Hearthstone. It's a card game. Let's not kid ourselves. All card games are scams.
Yeah.
But they're fun to play, so we play. We personally like to play Magic a lot. Yeah. And maybe we'll do that in a whole separate episode where we just cover board games and tabletop games in general. But so they have tournaments for this card game.
Oh, I thought it was Overwatch for some reason.
No, it was in Hearthstone.
Oh, okay.
And a gentleman, I think he's from Taiwan, actually, made a statement
after winning
the whole tournament. So it was a big deal. He was given a stream, and
he's from Hong Kong.
He's from Hong Kong? Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought he was from
I'm just
Taiwan.
reading it to make sure.
All right. So he's from Hong Kong. His name is...
He goes by Blitzchung.
Blitzchung. He's Norway Chung. So he first got on...
Let's talk about Hong Kong's a shithole right now.
He first got on stage whenever he was wearing Hong Kong protest gear. So he was wearing a gas mask, like a respirator, and goggles. And the casters gave him the floor for 2 minutes towards the end of the stream. Mm-hmm. And he ripped off his mask and he said, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." And that was enough for Blizzard to shit themselves. They had a little aneurysm.
Well, it's important to note that Blizzard makes a lot of its money from China. Like, for example, the most recent, the World of Warcraft movie, the reason that actually was anywhat successful was because China, almost all of their viewers were from China. And China buys a lot of their products. They like World of Warcraft. They like Overwatch. It's but they decided to, do you want to read what they did to him?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to figure it out.
They took all his money.
They took all of his money. They banned him from the game, competing competitively for a year. And then they banned both the casters indefinitely.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very sad video. You can find a video of one of the casters crying because he's like, they took away my livelihood. And you wouldn't know this if you're someone from even outside the video games, but even if you're in video games, if you're not in esports, it's very hard to get a casting position. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the same thing. It's the same thing as an announcer in football or Formula One or baseball or something like that, where you're paid to commentate on the game.
Yeah.
These two guys, they worked their asses off to get to like the highest point they could, where they're literally doing one of the most popular tournaments for Blizzard. And they got banned indefinitely for something they couldn't control.
Yeah.
Someone saying.
Yeah. They since gave the guy his money back, but I'm pretty sure he's still banned. But like the big
for 6 months,
big problem that people are upset with Blizzard is because it's an American company. You would think that they'd follow American ideals, and one of our ideals is freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are condemning Blizzard for suppressing that man's free speech.
And what is worse is their responses to all of the frustration given by their fan base is they pretty much said, we don't care.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's like, we get it. You get a lot of money from China, but like, come on, like this is like an issue that's going on. This man, worked really hard to get to where he was.
You know how much money he got Blizzard? Just by playing and competing in that like very official, very high class tournament, and then for them to just strip it all away from him because he made a statement that he doesn't like about a problem that's very serious for the people of Hong Kong, where they're talking about that China can come in and take people out of Hong Kong, which is a free state, and take them to mainland China, where they can basically do whatever the fuck they want to them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this about China, but they like to make certain people disappear. And for the people of Hong Kong, that's very scary because that's like they're putting their grubby hands into what was a free state.
Yeah. But anyway, Blizzard pretty much panicked and was like, let's just shut this shit down because God forbid we take a hit for whatever game they're releasing next, which is probably going to be Overwatch 2. It's like it's shitty because they pulled a business move and rather than care about their fans and their players, they're like, yeah, fuck them. We care about the money, which again, a big problem in today is that companies only give a shit about money.
And I think it reflects the trend of video gaming reaching mainstream in the way of companies used to not be able to afford that because video games were so niche or niche, depending on your pronunciation, but they were such a small community that a significant portion of people saying, we don't like the way that you are running your business is enough to throw them off.
Yeah.
And you see that in historical context, but now video gaming is such a lucrative industry.
Yeah.
They've got the
It's
money,
also very
care.
mainstream too.
It's mainstream at this point. People watch it like sports. People get together and watch esports.
Yeah.
And
particularly in the Asian countries.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Market.
And a lot of Blizzard players are. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen like Overwatch League, but like a lot of them are Asian. It's like it's very popular.
It's not like Counter-Strike where most people are European.
Yeah, so it's like they knew that they had the potential to lose a lot of assets for suppressing them because of the Chinese government and shit, and they still did it. And it's like you're American, like you shouldn't be they're supporting.
Hold up American values.
Yeah, upstand. Yeah, exactly.
If anything, by doing that, you're supporting the exact opposite of American values.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, don't say anything because say anything. Americans are very contrarian where they're like, yeah, if we don't like the president, we're going to dress him up as a baby and parade him outside the White House. Where in China, you compare the president to Winnie the Pooh. Yeah. You get put in a gulag. Winnie the Pooh is banned now. And you can't take the fucking subway anymore because your social credit score is too low. Well, why would anyone from America ever want a system like that? The people in China don't even want a system like that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Karma in a small way got them, but again, with such a huge company, it's a drop in the bucket. Just recently, actually, today, as a matter of fact,
I'm really interested.
Our time, Mitsubishi Motors of Taiwan retracted its sponsorship of Blizzard esports events.
Well, tomorrow's BlizzCon, so I'm really interested to see how that event plays out.
Yeah.
Just to see, not tomorrow.
We're recording on a Thursday.
Yeah. So tomorrow's the first. So that's BlizzCon, and I'm excited. I'm interested to see how that turns out with all the shit they're getting right now.
Mitsubishi is actually a really good point because they also pissed off a lot of Japanese people who support Hong Kong. A lot of other Asian countries outside of China actually really want Hong Kong to succeed because China is the dominating power in Asia, and all the other Asian countries are worried about the influence spreading. Yeah. China already supports, countries like North Korea, who I don't know if you know this, but North Korea is known for kidnapping Japanese citizens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there is the only stake here that Blizzard has is China.
Yeah.
That's it. They just want that country, and it's money grubbing, but in a way I understand it. But their response to it was the worst. They even put out a statement in Chinese that said, "We will uphold the values of China and its nation at all costs."
Jeez.
And it's like, who are you? What side are you playing on? Right? You can't bat on both sides of the field, buddy.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've done a lot of hating, so let's maybe turn it around and just talk about some games and companies that we like. I'll start. Minecraft, great fucking game.
Yeah.
One payment, you get it all, and it's great. And they're using it in schools now, which is amazing. It's like
It's Legos.
It's innovative, and it's such a great game. Like we spent hours playing Minecraft, like because it's fun. Like
it's a catalyst for social interaction, I would say.
And creativity.
And okay, so as a nerdy bio major, I also appreciate that lately they have been taking a turn for conservation and using their platform to try and teach kids the importance of certain organisms on this planet. If you look at a few of the updates that they've released lately, they've had sea turtles, they're adding bees to the game, they've had dolphins, and they've had great green macaws,
polar bears,
yeah, that's right.
And the way that players interact with them, it's a dumbed down version, but you can negatively harm them, and doing so doesn't have a benefit for you.
You don't get anything out of killing them.
It's a small thing to kind of instill this notion of like protection over damage.
You bring up the sea turtles, you actually have the opportunity to gain something if you get them to breed.
But if you injure them, nothing happens. And the bees, I'm excited because I was reading about this, and they're doing a lot to try to make it realistic. They increase your crop production or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you have them around and if you take good care of them, they teach kids about the procedure of if you're a beehive, is it farmer? A hive?
A
beekeeper,
farmer.
that's the name for it.
Beekeeper?
If you're a beekeeper, like using a safe form of smoke as a way to incapacitate them harmlessly. Like you can do that in the game, and then they're fine. If you damage one, or if they sting you, they die. And it's like they made the death
that's crazy,
really cute, but really sad. So like I'm hoping it instills this. They're using it as a way of learning and a way of promoting positive lessons and positive things that we should know.
Right.
What about you? What game do you want to commend here?
Fuck. It's hard to say what game in particular I want to commend because it's more so about a company.
Yeah.
Okay. Which company?
CD Projekt Red. And that's because they are based in the Eastern Bloc of Europe, so Poland, like Czechoslovakia, stuff like that. They don't have a lot of money, or at least they didn't, their studio, whenever they were making The Witcher. And what they would do is they literally take laptops and just move from like public space to public space. And they talked about how anytime they would cross a checkpoint, they always had to hide their stuff because they were worried that a corrupt official was going to come and take like their equipment to make games with. And obviously that's their whole like livelihood. That's their dream. That's their love. And I really have to commend them for that, because if your heart and soul wasn't in like that industry, you wouldn't go through the pains of all that, of like staying up late at night at like a gym.
Absolutely.
Work programming on a laptop and like building assets on a laptop, which is a nightmare. And then every time you travel, have to worry about getting everything stolen from you.
Yeah.
You know, there were much easier routes and they didn't take it. So that's why even if, Cyberpunk 2027 or 2077. I was really confused by that. Comes out and it's terrible. I'm still going to buy it.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
It's not going to stop me. They go through great lengths to not only adapt their culture, like The Witcher is very heavy on Eastern European folklore, like the Baba Yaga's in there. But that's my little darling.
Yeah.
At least no really games besides Minecraft, but definitely CD Projekt Red.
What about you?
I have one, and I currently have a love-hate relationship with it, but it was something that I discovered over the summer, and the only reason I dislike it is because of the people who play it.
As with most games.
No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah.
Is every time I would stop my session of play, I felt like I had discovered something profound, that I had learned something about myself, and I'm not sure if I actually did, but it's a procedurally generated galaxy.
Yeah.
Where you stumble upon planets that have never been discovered before and organisms that have never been discovered before.
Isn't it like an infinite amount too?
And it's infinite. And it's the excitement of landing on a planet for the first time and seeing something you've never seen before is truly spectacular. And then the story.
What if I got the game to play with you, Tom?
I would absolutely play with you 100%. But the story is also incredibly compelling. And I did not notice that at first. I thought it would be dumb. Like it felt as though like exploration is obviously the point of this game. Why would I waste my time with some story that's meant to be a tutorial? But it actually ended up being the most compelling thing. And now when I'm entering the game, because of the ending, I feel a strange sense of melancholy. There's a sadness to it because of how I know you learn the nature of that universe.
Yeah. It's also very important to say that particularly something I love about No Man's Sky is that it doesn't draw from the stereotypical like 80s sci-fi or anything like that, but it's very much like 50s based. Like you go in and there's all these items. 50s sci-fi is all about not knowing. Like in Star Trek, they arrive at something and they're like, fuck, what is that, man? Mm-hmm. And then like some transcendent being like comes and then busts them out of something. And that's what I love about No Man's Sky, where it's very much we don't know what the hell is going on. And there's all this weird shit like the Atlas that like coming into the game, you have no idea what it is. And very much like Destiny, I don't know if you're ever told what it is or if it just exists to exist.
Yeah.
In No Man's Sky, you are told at the end. They have since developed the story to a point. And if you were ever looking for a casual gameplay experience of just exploring and seeing the worlds, if you're the kind of person who likes to take really cool photos, that's a cool thing to do.
Cool photos, yes, but not casual, because there are times where you land on a planet and it's like, oh man, it's overflowing with lava and I'm going to die in 2 seconds.
Yeah. There are times where you just land and it's like the radiation here is coming in through the ship. You need to leave. Like there's no safety.
A lot of good games out there. It's hard. I feel like we haven't even gotten into
Enter the Gungeon.
Everything. Yeah. I feel like we haven't even gotten into everything, like all the shit, but we're getting pretty...
We are getting a little far in.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to kind of wrap up video games?
Play video games.
Or, check out people's streams. Like, you can always find out about the game before you buy it if you want to give it a try. Like, There's plenty of videos. Like, some people don't listen to those videos or their friends when they tell them not to buy anything. But
if you're like worried about money, just wait until
it'll drop.
Yeah,
it's like buying a car.
Just wait until the new generation comes out and then buy the older generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them a try.
And in today's society, it is so easy to find someone else who has one.
Yeah.
And at least in the circle of people who play games, I will say gamers that I know, we would love to sit down and play with you.
Yeah.
I have just as much enjoyment playing the game as I do watching somebody experience it for the first time.
Yeah. If you want to watch us play, like, we do stream every once in a while, either on Mixer or
shameless self-promotion.
I'm just saying, like, if we want to all play together, like, I stream on Mixer at Stacks099 and on Twitch at Stacks99.
You didn't even pull a ninja. You just sold out and did both.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, but
how much did they pay you to go to Mixer?
A lot. I'm kidding. Well, it's because it's like it's better, like.
Streamlined for console,
it's
right?
Streamlined for console, so it's a lot nicer. But
so thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
We would love to hear what.
Thank you, Ty's mom.
Thank you, Ty's mom.
Thank you, Ty's mom. Why'd you say thank you, Ty's mom?
Thank you,
You're
Mom.
Ty.
Thank you, mom. Love you. I want to see more baby photos of Ty.
Oh God.
Elvis Presley over here.
If you guys want to tell us about your video game experiences or tell us That episode was kind of dumb. Maybe don't do that anymore.
We want your feedback.
Let us know. We have an Instagram. Isn't that crazy? What's our Instagram again?
Get Stoked Podcast.
Get Stoked Podcast on Instagram. So just give us a call out, and thank you so much for listening to another episode of Get Stoked.
Get Stoked.
God damn it.